Thank you all for joining today's CaFÉ webinar. Today, I'll be taking you through the additional services that CaFÉ provides when you host your call for entry with us. You are all familiar with the submission management platform that allows you to post an opportunity to artists, collect submissions, and collect entry fees, and jury the applications to make your selections. But there's some services, some free, some that are add-ons to your pricing plan that CaFÉ provides that you may not be aware of. So we wanted to host this webinar to let you know all about them. So the key items that we'll cover today include downloading high-resolution images, CaFÉ's Smart Call and additional training services, the Letters of Reference add-on, Promotional EBlasts, and CaFÉ and the Public Art Archive joint programs. So the first item I will talk to you today about is something that's already included in CaFÉ services. Most of you know about this, but we've been surprised by how many people aren't aware that this is something that you can get. So I want to make sure to mention it. When artists submit images to your call, we can export those high-resolution images for you. We call this an image request, image download, or media download. Essentially, you can request up to 3 downloads per call of the images submitted to your event. At this time, we can only pull images. We can't pull audio or video files just yet. You can request the images once you've collected them all, once you've juried if you only need the invited images, or at any point in the call process. So to obtain your image download, all you need to do is submit a ticket. So I'm going to go into our CaFÉ system here. I'm logged in as an administrator, and I'm going to go to our menu here and then click on the ticket tab. And in this help ticket, you can, create a subject for your email, choose the event that you need the images from. And then under the issue, what you'll do is select image request. In the message box, you just let us know that you want the images for the specific call, and be sure to let us know which status of images you want, because the download is created based on status. So for example, you can say that you need the images from the invited status, from the received status, or maybe you say all statuses. If you're still in the jury process and you need the images for a blind jury, let us know in the message to not include the artist names in the files. And I'll kind of show you what this looks like in a minute. So you can just kind of let us know that you need those in the message here. Fill out the rest of the fields and click send. That will send us an email, and we will respond with an email that looks like this. And it will include this download link here that you can click. We usually send this email within 24 business hours, if not sooner. Sometimes we can even get to it pretty quickly if it's not too much of a busy day around here. So what you'll do is you'll click this link to start the download. It will start immediately downloading to your computer. The link itself can only be clicked 3 times, and it will expire at a certain date. So just be sure to be aware of that. And once you click the link there, it will initiate the download, and you can open the zip file. And what I'm going to do here is I will switch my view so you can see in my computer kind of what it looks like. So the image download will add as a zip file that you then open, and you'll see you'll kind of get this random folder. Once I open the folder, you will first see different folders grouping the images by status. So like I said, you can ask for all statuses or just one. And then once I click into some of these, you'll see we have additional files that you can access the images from, or different folders, excuse me. These are based on your categories. So if you have categories set up for your call, it will separate them out. So you can easily find and sort those images. If you don't have categories, it will go straight from, invited to the images themselves. But once you click into the category folder, you'll see we have those image files. So these image files will be the same size and format that the artist uploaded to CaFÉ. So we're pulling those exact same files at the largest size that they uploaded. And so you'll see here we have the artist's last name included in the file name of the file, but like I said, you can have those removed if you are using the images for a blind jury. and you're, using the images outside of CaFÉ, other than using the jury module for that. The file names will be named with the artist ID numbers, the application ID numbers, and the image ID numbers. So those are why those seem like random numbers there, but they do pertain to the application numbers. So you can use this download for multiple reasons. Like I mentioned before, you can use this in your jury if your jurors prefer to view the files on their own. You can use the images of the invited artists to put together a virtual exhibition, print catalog, or whatever use you may need. If you need to use them in other online or promotional materials, just be sure you have the artist agree to it for such use, either in your call's legal agreement, application form, or some other method outside of CaFÉ. So like I said, the image download is included in your CaFÉ service, so there's no additional charge. You get up to 3 free downloads per call. So that just means we can generate that download link up to 3 times for your call. The next thing I want to introduce you all to is the Smart Call. The Smart Call is an add-on service in which you send us the information for your event, exhibition, etc., and we build the call for entry in CaFÉ for you. This can be helpful if you're newer to CaFÉ and would like some additional help to set up your first call, or maybe you have some new administrators for your organization or staff members that you need to fill in for you, and they don't necessarily know how to use CaFÉ just yet. The Smart Call can be handy if you're just, too busy or don't have enough time to set up the call in CaFÉ and would prefer us to just have us get all the info from you and then set everything up for you. So when you purchase a Smart Call, we'll send you this checklist to make sure that we have all the details needed to set up your call description, application requirements, and entry fees. Once we have all these details, you can just kind of send it to us in an email, files, however works for you. And once we have those details, we will go into CaFÉ for your call and we will build all those details for you. So we'll enter the short description, long description, we'll set up the deadline dates, we'll build application questions for you. So especially if you have a call that, might be like a residency application or a grant application where you have many application questions and different formats, and you would prefer us to just set those up for you, we can certainly do that. So we'll build those for you, build out any categories, make sure you have the right media requirements set up, how many images, audio, and video the artist can apply with. And then we'll also set up any entry fees that you'll be charging. So we'll get all that set for you. We'll send it to you for review, and then publish it when it looks good to you and you're ready to publish the call. So our turnaround time for Smart Calls depends on staff availability, but we are happy to work with you to set up your call in a timely manner. The Smart Call starts at $225 per call, which would only go up in rare circumstances, such as needing a substantial amount of time to build the call, but usually it's that $225 Smart Call rate. So to purchase a Smart Call, all you need to do is contact us when you fill out your new call request form, the one that you list the basic details to your call, and then let us know that you'd like to, purchase the Smart Call service for it. What we'll do is then send the checklist and the appropriate items and the agreement for getting that process started. While we're on this kind of topic of additional assistance in the CaFÉ team, I wanted to mention that we do offer additional training for administrators. As you may know, when you first sign up with CaFÉ, we offer 2 trainings, a call setup training and a jury administration training. These 2 sessions are included in the setup fees when you first sign on. However, if you or your team would like more one-on-one training or extended support, we do offer additional training for $100 for up to 60 minutes. So if you have new administrators on staff and would like us to train those new members on CaFÉ, or if you'd like your team to have additional assistance beyond what we can provide over email or a quick phone call, then we can offer the additional training session over Zoom. Again, to purchase the additional training, reach out to us to let us know, and we'll work with you to set up the time and the details. The next add-on service that I want to share with you all is one that you may not be aware of that we even have. And that is the letters of reference feature. This feature allows you to accept confidential letters of reference through CaFÉ. I'll demonstrate how it's set up in the back end and what it looks like to the artist in just a moment. But if you need to collect letters of reference or other materials from a third party, instead of building an application question and having the artist upload the file directly, the letter of reference feature lets the third party upload the document on their own. This means it's great for letters of recommendation or reference because the artist does not get to see the documents, and yet the files will be available on the application and the juror scorecard. So this is great for artist residencies, private art commissions, or for award applications, but it can also be used in other ways if you want to get creative. Just because it's called letters of reference doesn't mean it really needs to be used in that way. So to show you what this looks like when you purchase the letters of reference add-on, I will log into a call for entry on the admin side that has it set up. So I'll go back here and go to events management. I've got the call selected already that I want to go into, so I'm going to click Call Editor. And once we're in the Call Editor, as you can see, in addition to the Event Information, Application Editor, and Product Editor tabs, we also have this Letters of Reference tab. So this is a tab that we activate when you purchase the Letters of Reference feature. So we'll go to this tab here and scroll down. To set up the letters of reference, you'll first enter the applicant instructions here that the artist will see on the application. Here you can reiterate what they need to obtain from their referrers and anything else they need to know specific to your event. Next, you'll enter the reference count to set up how many letters or documents will be required for or optional for the artist. So you can put in an exact amount here. You can use the drop-down menu, putting exactly the number that you need. Or you can choose at least to set up a range. So for here, we have at least 1, maximum 2. You can increase this up to 6. Next, you'll enter the deadline for when the letters of reference will be due. This is typically set to the call's deadline date. However, if you want to make sure you have letters of reference ahead of time, maybe you set this to before the application deadline. But I'll show you a little bit more about the workflow. So I do recommend just setting this to the application deadline date. And then lastly, you'll enter the refer instruction. So this is what will display to the refer. And this info can just be, more context on the call or opportunity itself, things that you're looking for in the letter, or personalized message. Artists will have a chance to enter their own personalized message, which I'll show you what that looks like. And so you'll just enter that here. So now let's go to the artist site. Well, first of all, I'll say, make sure you save that section, and that's all you really need to do to set up letters of reference, is enter these info. Everything else is kind of built for you. So now we'll go to the artist side. And what I've got here is I'm logged in as an artist and I'm pulling up this application. So this is the normal application that was built and all the custom questions. So, you see we filled out this application. We've selected our artwork. And what is going to happen is when I click Save Application, it's going to take me to this new letters of reference page. The instructions that you give them, you'll see here, this is kind of that demo text I had here. That's where the instructions from you, the organization, will appear. And the artist can read that. It will then say how many are required or optional to upload. Down below here are the instructions that CaFÉ provides for how the process will work for the artist. And at the bottom of the page is where they'll enter their reference requests. So as you can see, we have a maximum of 2. So we have 2 slots for these reference requests. We'll go ahead and click on one. The artist will then enter the information about their refer. So they'll enter their name, organization info, contact information, email is that most important one. And then the message. So the artist can say something like, dear refer, will you please upload your letters of reference for this opportunity and submit it? So they can enter all that information. Then they will click send. Actually, I did want to kind of show you what this all looks like when I enter it in. Information. Let's just put in my email. And here's the message. So I'll click send. That will send an email to the refer, and you'll see here, request successfully sent. They can then repeat this step for however many references they are going to have their referrers submit. So obviously it would be a separate refer for the second request. at this stage, they, see this status that says waiting for reference. The applicant is now good to just kind of log out of CaFÉ. Their application has been saved in that previous step, and they will be notified when their referrer uploads the letter of reference. So the referrer will see an email. I believe I have the email here. Yeah, so the referrer will see an email like this, which will say, the message sent from the artist, and it will include, some of the baseline instructions that CaFÉ gives. And they will click this link. Once they click the link, they will then be taken to CaFÉ, but they don't have to log in. They don't have to have an account. They'll just be simply taken to a page on CaFÉ where they can upload a PDF or enter text into a text box, or they can decline the request. And once they submit those items, that's it for them. When they submit the letter, like I said, the artist will be notified by email, and their application page here will change to say that the document has been submitted, or, reference submitted. Once all of the documents requested have been submitted, and these 2 items, or however many fulfills the minimum requirement, has been submitted, the artist will come back to CaFÉ. They'll come to this page on their application, and then they will be able to proceed to the checkout page and submit their application officially with all the letters of reference. So it's kind of that extra step. The artist cannot submit without their letters of reference being uploaded first. So that's the process and the workflow. Once those have been submitted, they get those emails to notify them to come back to CaFÉ and submit their application. Let me go ahead and show you what it looks like when an artist has submitted an application with letters of reference. I'll go back to our events management page, and I've got a tagged or flagged application here that will show us. I'll click the application ID number to go to the application page. And on the application page, there's going to be a separate section. So I'll scroll down underneath the work samples where it says references. You as an admin will be able to see these letters. So if I click on one, it opens up in a different tab, the PDF that was submitted. If they submitted a text document, it'll kind of look like this with the, random file type, but this was information that was put into a text box, but then CaFÉ puts it into a nice and neat PDF for the admin and the juror to review. And so this will kind of work just like any file upload question types on the juror scorecard. There will be a reference section where the juror can open these files and review them and use them in their consideration. That's how the letters of reference feature works. Like I said, this is great for collecting confidential letters of recommendation for artist residencies, awards, grants, etc. But just because it's typically used for that doesn't mean it can't be used for something else. We can help you use it for what you need. So don't forget that this option exists. This feature costs $200 per call you add it to. And again, you just have to let us know that you're interested and we'll get you set up. The last service we'll go over before talking about something unrelated a little bit is the CaFÉ Promotional EBlast service. One of the benefits of hosting your call in CaFÉ is the exposure you will have to hundreds and thousands of artists that use CaFÉ all over the country and some internationally. Once your call is set up and live, you'll want to make sure you're doing everything you can to reach as many of those artists as possible. One thing you can do with us is purchase a promotional e-blast for any of your calls that are active on CaFÉ. And for a low cost, you can pick the geographic regions and artistic disciplines of artists you'd like to reach, and we'll send an email with your call details and organization information. So let me quickly show you the example. The e-blast would be sent on one date of your choice, depending on availability. So you would pick the date that works with our schedule to have this sent out. And so here's an example of what the e-blast would look like. It would include your logo, so it wouldn't include CaFÉ's logo here, your call name, the call details, and then here is the information that can be pulled from your short description, or you can personalize and customize this text if you choose. We'll also list your organization's contact information down below and include a link to click to apply to the call. So like I mentioned, you can choose which states to send your email to, or which countries, or which regions, and you can choose which artistic disciplines to send it to. We have 32 disciplines that are self-identified by artists when they sign up for CaFÉ. So you'd be targeting the artists that work in those specific disciplines that may seem applicable to your call. So the price of the eBlast starts at $100 and goes up depending on how many artists are chosen by your criteria. So, I say here, starts at $100 for the first 9,999 recipients. And then for each additional 9,999 recipients, it's another $100. So for example, if you were to send, if you put together criteria that includes, 2 to 3 regions with 2 to 3 artistic disciplines, and that turns out to be about up to 39,999 recipients. In this example, you'd be paying $400 for that eBlast. So this website has more info that you'll see. We have, a review of how it works, the cost, the example again here. And then at the bottom too, you'll see kind of this number of artists by region. And what this is a estimate of the number of artists we currently have in each region based on the top disciplines. So like I said, we have 32, but here just lists the top ones. And these, you can kind of look through here to give you a general idea of how many artists are in each of these US regions. To request an eBlast, all you'll need to do is fill out the form that's linked here at the top, reserve my eBlast. And what you'll do is you'll, enter the information about your organization and the call. And then in the eBlast details, you will indicate your budget. And this you don't have to stick to, but it's just a baseline for us to understand what your budget is. And then you will choose, if you want to send it by state or by individual regions, and then it'll allow you to choose which regions you want to send it to. And then you'll select the artistic disciplines. So here you can kind of just select your ideal criteria for who you want to send this eBlast to. And it can be as broad or as narrow as you want it to be. Once you submit this form, we will then reach out to you with different pricing options based on your selection, and we'll work with you to create that eBlast proof, the eBlast template, and I will send it to you. I say I because I'm the one you'd be working with on the eBlast. We'll work with you to create that email. We'll also, work with you to create the pricing based on the criteria that you've selected that works for your budget. I recommend requesting your eBlast about 3 weeks before you hope to send it because our availability does fill up quickly since this is a pretty popular service. And you'll want to make sure there's enough time between when the eBlast is sent and when your call deadline is to give artists enough time to apply. When we started this add-on service a few years ago, we received some great feedback from organizations saying it really helped increase the number of submissions to their call. So I do recommend this service as a good option for making sure artists see your call. The Public Art Archive, or PAA for short, offers a suite of free and low-cost resources for the documentation, management, and exploration of public art built specifically for the public art field. First, if you don't already know, the PAA database is free, continually growing, and an online and mobile database of completed public artworks. Since the archive's inception in 2010, public art organizations and artists have submitted informational text, images, and additional multimedia files describing completed public artworks at no cost. In fact, PAA uses CaFÉ to collect these materials. So the database can be explored by anyone on the PAA website. So if you're to go to the Public Art Archive, you can search and explore the database. You can select from a wide variety of filter options and, go in and view these different pieces of artwork. There's also a map feature, so artists or users can take themselves on a little self-guided tour. You can enter the location, and it will show you the public art as a list or a map feature here. This is also free to browse. And when the artwork gets added to the database that I showed you before, then it gets added to the map as well. And then in addition to the database, PAA offers a collection management system for public art organizations or municipalities. So you can subscribe to the system for a low-cost annual fee to manage your public art collection. So from the commission of the artwork through conservation, all that can be put into the CMS collection management system, and PAA helps you maintain that. So West Staff and PAA hosting services include the maintenance, security, backups, customer service, upgrades, and data migration. So with this, you can also explore fun things like adding a collection-specific map of the public art to your website. So it would be, based on your own collection management system. There's also a collection showcase feature on PAA, and also the option to have a web-based mobile app of the public art map so it can be shared widely with your community. So I'm mentioning PAA because we do have a fair amount of public art organizations that use CaFÉ, and I want to make sure you all know what West Staff has to offer you. And because we're sister platforms, if you are signed up with CaFÉ and decide to add or start a collection management system with PAA, we can work together to create a deal for transferring your existing collection data into the new CMS at no cost to you. In other words, the data migration fees will be waived for any CaFÉ clients. So if you're interested, get in contact with us, or you can contact PAA at the website here, PA archive at weststaff.org, or visit the website to visit more information. This concludes your webinar of how to get the most out of CaFÉ and using the additional services we offer. I hope you discovered some new tools that you can consider for your own call. We have a question from Kristen. What if you only want opportunity-specific references for finalists, in our case, as part of a two-phase public art selection process? That's a good question. So there's a couple different ways to go about this. One is to have, a second call for entry set up for phase 2. I understand that's not the most costly option, cost-effective option, but that is something where the finalists would then upload their phase 2 documents, proposals, everything like that. And they would, we could use the letters of reference module in this case. That is the most recommended one. There are a couple workarounds depending on how many finalists you have, where letters of reference can be submitted, but later on as part of using the exception status. That's typically not recommended. The exception status is what allows artists to go back and edit their application after it's been submitted. So there could be ways to work with that. The other option is using the roster status. So when you select your finalists, you can put them into the roster status of CaFÉ. Roster status allows artists to go back to their applications and their portfolio and make any updates. It's kind of just typically used as a running public art roster where folks can, update their portfolio and their work. And there could be a way in which letters of reference could help with that. I'm not so sure since I'm not too familiar with that process, but if you reach out to us and you're interested, we can try to see what the options are to work with you on that. And then I have a question about image downloads. Does this mean that we're allowed just 3 images to be downloaded from our winners? For example, we chose 5 sculptures and we would need all 5 for promotional purposes. Can you please clarify? Yes, absolutely. So the image download means you get 3 download instances per call. And we can download, in those downloads, we can download however many images you need. So if you say I need all of the images from the invited status, we send you those. It can be, 5, it can be 15, it can be however many, it can be hundreds of images at once. And that one instance in which we send you that download counts towards your 3 image downloads. So that's what it means by downloads. It just means we can create that export link that looks like this. We can create this link for you 3 times per call. But totally, we can have as many images as you need. Thanks for joining us, and be sure to join our next webinar next month.